Hey Shipmates, Darren Lewis with Division 7. Recently, Brad Schultz and I had a conversation about keeping up with everything that's happening in the Coast Guard. Keeping informed about trends and issues that are arising has a great deal of value, as does just knowing what's going on locally. Now, there are a huge number of different sites that provide information on the Coast Guard, both official sites like the site we're looking at here, the Coast Guard Compass, which is the official blog of the United States Coast Guard, as well as a site for our own district and districts across the nation. Some local units have sites. Many auxiliary units have sites at all different levels. It's very challenging, and it's very challenging to keep up with all of these as you go through. You can visit each individual site, but some of them update, a few times a day, and some of them update very rarely, maybe once or twice a month. Even if they're not updating regularly, though, they may have some important information that you want to keep track of. So I use what's called a feed reader, and this is a tool that allows you to essentially subscribe to a whole series of different blog sites and other news sites and have that information all filtered down into a single site so you can view it on demand. The other great thing about a feed reader is it keeps track of what you've seen and already read. It allows you to tag things, it allows you to email them to other folks, so you don't have to go to the individual sites unless you see something that's really interesting and you want to see the post in its original context. The feed reader I use is Google Reader. It's part of the Google Apps suite, along with Google Docs and Gmail. And I've been using Google Reader probably for about 5 or 6 years now. I think it's the third of the feed readers that I've used, and it works very well for me. So this is Google Reader. I use a whole variety of different. I follow a whole variety of different websites, and probably I don't know, maybe 100 or 200 different blogs on all sorts of different topics. But what I'd like to share with you, in fact, is my Coast Guard feeds. So there are a few things that I consider absolutely key feeds. These include the Coast Guard Compass that we just looked at. Obviously, our local unit blogs, so the Flotilla 7.3 blog, the Spirit of 7.6 blog, the Division blog, Division 7's blog, and the District Coast Guard Auxiliary blog, as well as our District blog, the U.S. Coast Guard Pacific Northwest blog. And then, of course, the All Coast messages, all the messages that only a few of which filter down to us through the All Aux messages, but some of these are interesting. It's worth keeping track of as well. Now, right now, we are in Google Reader. I've opened up what I call my USCG-key list. So these are all the feeds that I consider absolutely key to keeping track of things. So even if I don't go and look at my full list of Coast Guard feeds or Coast Guard related feeds, these are the ones that I do try to check every day to see what's going on. And I'll show you how to discover these, and then at some point I'll also give you a list of the direct feed links so you can do this yourself. So first thing you need to do is set up a Google account, and then go to Google Reader and start adding subscriptions. So the easiest thing to do is you click on the button and you add a subscription here. You can type in something like Coast Guard Compass. Give it a moment, and it will look up the Coast Guard Compass, feed. Now this is a little challenging. You can see there's a whole series of them here. You're not quite sure which one to pick. It can be confusing. So there's another way. Most of the sites with links actually have something that says something on the order of site feed. So if you click on, in this case on the Coast Guard Compass, the site feed is here in the right-hand navigation pane. And then it's just a matter of, in many cases, just copying this, going back to your reader, adding a subscription, pasting it in, clicking add, and it'll go find that. So I've already subscribed to the Coast Guard Compass, so I actually don't really need to do it again, but it lets you do this. Now, you'll notice something. If I click on my group again, the only feed I haven't read is this one. If I click on it again, that one goes away. But I can also show all items, right? So one of the great things about a feed reader is it keeps track of what you've read and what you haven't read. Just to give you an example, I'm going to click on the Coast Guard compass, and I'm going to say that I want to keep these articles unread. Now this can be useful as you're reading through things that you want to save to come back and read later. I'm just going to click the latest 5 posts from the Coast Guard compass. Now when I click on the USCG-key folder and ask it to only show me new items, it'll show me these 5 items. And this is essentially what happens. What happens is that as soon as you open Reader, it goes out and it looks at all the feeds that you're subscribed to and sees if there's anything new. Great way to keep track of things, because obviously if it's only showing you things that are new or things that you've marked to save as unread, this keep unread option, then you don't have to go back and see a whole lot of content that you've already seen and dismissed. You can also edit tags, so you can add things if you want to categorize things to keep track of. You can add a star, which will add them to your starred items up here. You can say you like the item, you can share it with a note, or you can email it. I find the email is fairly useful. If I find something in here, I will go in and email it to a shipmate. So I'm going to go back to all items for this whole folder. I'm going to start working through things. So this is what all coast messages look like. You'll see that they have the standard all coast number, in this case 067/11. A lot of these don't have relevance for us, but some do. Unofficial Coast Guard blog gives us articles of relevance to the Coast Guard Marine Safety blog, the Flotilla 7.3 blog, On Scene, which is the Journal of U.S. Coast Guard Search and Rescue, has some great information usually about the kinds of rescues that have happened recently, as well as some more in-depth interviews and articles. Spirit of 7.6 is the Flotilla 7.6 blog. We were just at the Coast Guard compass. The Coast Guard Auxiliary Division 713th District blog. Apparently I subscribed to the wrong one and it's not giving me any content on this, so I'm going to have to go back and fix that. I actually don't subscribe to Division 7 because I publish all the content, so I see it anyway. Here's the Pacific Northwest blog. You can see that it's been a while since we've had a post, but these come and go. And then the USCG Pacific Northwest, the active duty blog. And I've actually been a contributor on this at various times over the year, and it's a lot of fun. So these are the things I keep track of. It brings the content directly to me. I don't have to go and visit all these sites. It's just right here. And as I said, I subscribe to probably 100 or 200 different blogs, both for my personal interest, for my auxiliary interest, and also for work. So that's how to use a feed reader. It's the real basics. As I said, we'll give you a list of some of these great Coast Guard blogs that you want to keep track of, and there are dozens more that you can discover out there to kind of keep track of what's going on in the Coast Guard, keep yourself informed, keep ahead of the curve, and hopefully learn some new techniques, see best practices, find out what all our shipmates are doing across the district, across the nation, and around the world. Be safe out there and look to the safety of your shipmates.